disclosure, like I get paid from Spotify to a certain degree. So like I'm a little biased in the situation of like, all right, people are like pulling their music off in protests and this, that, and the other. I don't know, like what do you think the end game is, right? Like, Spotify's not going anywhere, right? They're not going to go anywhere. Joe Rogan's not going to go anywhere. They paid him too much damn money for him to, leave the platform. Like, what's the end game? We just have all these older artists who like understand the necessity for vaccination that are just going to like bounce. We're just going to lose part of the catalog, I guess.
It's a good question. I don't know. Like, I, like you, make a small, like some money from Spotify, and I do bitch about it a lot.
Yeah.
I understand the purpose of Spotify, and I understand why people use it. I understand why it is the vacuum that music is in right now. I understand. Doesn't mean I have to like it. And I think ultimately the reason, and this is an old school mentality. If it makes me out of touch, that's fine. I think artists should get paid better for their work. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
But as far as your question to what's happening now, there are a couple of hypocrisies about this, starting with Neil Young. Okay. People forget that this is a guy who just sold 50% of his catalog for a healthy sum of money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a guy who, outside of his music, fought against the corporate machine for a very long time. He didn't want his music used for advertisement. He didn't give into that. And then here he is selling his catalog to one of the major players now in the game, as far as the companies that are the investment companies that go in and buy catalogs of music. So is it hypocritical? In a way, but also he's at the back end of his life. He's taking care of his estate by doing so. And you're seeing a lot of these older artists do that now, which makes sense. However, you can't be this guy who fights the corporate machine, then sells your catalog, and then challenges Spotify because you don't think someone has the right to free speech, which is ultimately what he's saying by saying music off Spotify. Or do you not agree with that sense? Do you think it's...
Well, I don't know. I think that there's, and we've been dealing with, the issue of free speech versus like, manipulation for years now. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would call it a pure free speech opinion, right? Because like, first of all, free speech is not governed by our corporations. It's governed by our government. So like, Spotify has every right, if they wanted to, right? If they wanted to take an opinion or take a stance and just like, all right, Joe, you're gone. You know what I mean? You called, somebody a something. So you're gone, you're out. That's not a violation of free speech. Is it not a great look for Spotify? Yeah, absolutely. Because, you're pulling probably one of your, main streams out of line, and you're, making everybody pissed off at you. But that, I don't like using the term free speech in situations that don't include the government actively, prosecuting or persecuting anybody for saying something.
Right.
Because then we get twisted as to what free speech actually is and what we're actually protected by, where the rights of free speech start and end. And, I think maybe you could make the argument that like, Neil Young is like using whatever, capital of speech that he has by saying like, hey, I'm pulling my stuff. I'm pulling my stuff, from your platform if you don't get rid of this guy. And he had to know that this would never actually happen.
Of course.
But it's getting us talking about the fact that Joe Rogan has possibly consistently, since he's started at Spotify, like not necessarily having the best takes on things.
With it being not necessarily an argument of free speech, I think what Neil Young is doing is he's forgetting about that part of it. Meaning, Joe Rogan essentially can say and talk to whomever he wants. Now, do you have to like it? No. That's the problem. That's what we've kind of run into here. It was Neil Young, the same as me. There are specific things, obviously, that he doesn't like about Joe Rogan. Well, bullying Spotify into taking him down versus you probably wasn't the best way to go about that. Maybe you could have started a movement of where you think there's misinformation out there. Here's what information do you think is accurate. Here's what information do you think people.
Let's go back and get some action, live it up and get